Subscribers, your video is ready. Well, part 3 is ready. So I definitely thought that I was only going to have to make 2 videos, but I guess if it's probably not. It should be okay. So in part 2, the video ended with speaking that in jail they wanted a paper to be signed in order for there to be a shower, a bed, jail clothing, and things like that. And so, again, because I didn't identify my being with being suicidal, I didn't sign the paper. And I think for them, they were just thinking, oh, he just wants to kind of be like what they call a hard ass. And it wasn't that. It's just that I was honoring what I believed to be true. And what I believed to be true was I didn't label myself as being suicidal. I never said that I was suicidal. So and I wasn't going to label myself as suicidal because I was not suicidal. So anyway, there were also some spiritual things happening within the experience that helped me to realize that there was something bigger than just that being experienced. And what I can say is that oftentimes, as a chosen being, our path aligns us with kind of sometimes we can work in a way of we are chosen beings for a reason. When we notice things they are kind of sent to spirit faster. So when we notice things can kind of change rapidly because we are noticing these things. So for example, there was things within the jail's system that was not, I guess, would not have been honored by spirit. And because I was aware of these things happening, there was rapid change and movement in certain areas of the department or within within maximum security where I was because I noticed them. There was a correctional officer that was throwing away people's signed papers admitting that they were not suicidal, and there was still unfair treatment to some of those prisoners. And because I was aware that these things were going on, because I saw them, there was kind of divine intervention because I was a witness to these things happening. So I can share that much with you, but there are some things that it's like an experience to understand how the divine works. It's not that I don't want to tell you, it's just that it's easier and much better to for your own experience to experience how it works, because then you have that ta-da moment, like, oh, I understand what he was talking about, or I understand what she was talking about. But anyway, when I came back home after jail, I had a conversation with my little brother in the vehicle, and my mom. I was outside in the vehicle because my great aunt, she picked me up from the hospital. Actually, the nurse picked me up physically from like at the hospital and put me in a wheelchair and wheeled me out to the vehicle. But again, I am very healthy now. In terms of mentally, physically, I may be a little overweight, but we're working on that. I don't consider it overweight. I just consider my stomach being hanging over my underwear a little bit overweight to me. Going from 138 pounds to gaining more weight again. So it's kind of like, but after I had a conversation with my brother and things, and I just want to, I kind of want to get into the parts of my mom didn't come out and speak to me when I was at her house, like when my aunt had drove there, and I didn't get out of the vehicle. But when I got back to this house, well, because my aunt asked me what house did I want to go to, because like I said, there's two houses. Technically, there's three, but she asked which house did I want to go to, and I chose this one because it's like more of a, the other house, like a lot of people usually go to that house because that's where the gatherings usually are held. But they have been had some gatherings have been had here, but most of the company goes to the other house. So anyway, I chose this house for the seclusion, I guess you can say. And then my mom and her boyfriend came over because they had like some burgers and fries and things like that. And so I had an extra plate. And I wasn't going to eat it at first because I was going to try to go back into my vegan eating habits. But we had stopped at the grocery store prior to getting to the house, and we didn't have like a long time to shop. And honestly, I didn't know what to get because I didn't know if I was going to continue being vegan or continue being eating meat. And I don't think my family knew if the car accident, or the not the car accident, but the vehicle accident prior to jail. I don't think they knew if it was so bad that I could or couldn't walk. I think they just didn't know if I had the ability to walk, which I did. Had the ability to walk. Now, when I after that, I kind of, there was like soups and food, but the food, after my great aunt saw that I was eating meat again, I think it was a relief to her, but it kind of felt like failure to me. But at the same time, I wasn't sure of what my I wasn't sure what God was wanting for me to do, really, because I was just like, should I continue eating meat or should I try to continue being vegan? Because I had started eating meat again in prison or jail, whichever. And after that, there was a specific day, and this is where things started to get kind of weird, I would say. Now, I know that you're probably wondering, well, what was weird about the experience? When I got back home, I started realizing, well, prior to coming back home, I started realizing that my awareness to my clairs, like clairaudience, clairsentience, claircognizance, clairsent, clairvoyance, all of these things that psychic mediums gain on their journey to alignment, it was very vibrant. But I also realized that I was receiving messages that weren't present to my experience. Now, I want to say this. There was a, prior to truly, well, in the beginning of starting my journey, I quit smoking weed. I had quit drinking alcoholic beverages, and then I started back drinking alcoholic beverages after I realized that union with my twin flame wasn't happening when I wanted it to. Um, and I spoke about that with Valentine's Day. And, of course, I'm referring to 2021. I'm not referring to now. But what I can say is that um, I think that I need to go ahead and tell more of the stories of or more of the things, right? So I'm going to continue forward with the stories. I was receiving messages that were kind of like reminding me of past events. But I want to say this, some of those things were important reminders. Like, I kind of got into a place of, haven't I done enough work spiritually to have it easy, to be able to rest? But I think that a lot of times we I heard this in prison or jail, and what was said was, you do it to yourself. And I didn't understand how big of a statement that was, even though it seems like a small statement. And what it means to me is that we are all source consciousness. We are everything. Everything is us. So when we experience something, it's as if we are doing it to ourselves because God is us and we are God. And a lot of people don't identify with being God because they think that they aren't that powerful. They just kind of may minimize or humble themselves to thinking that they aren't as powerful as they are. I will say that. But anyway, I kind of realized the idea of duality in my experience. And when I was receiving a message that was like, you can go to the other house, because my great aunt was going to the store, and the the lawn care man was cutting grass. And so anyway, I end up going to the other house and staying at the other house for a while. And I've told this story many of times, but I don't think I like truly went into detail. I heard a message that said, I like to have action in the bedroom. And it didn't really stick around as like a message to like ponder about. But anyway, I've also said that sometimes I realize that there's an experience of God through other people. And I didn't know prior to going to the other house that my cousin, who was staying at the other house, had Rona. But there was kind of like I think that also there was this, when I got there was this voice that was saying like, go back home, like come back to this house. Well, I just decided to stay. And when I stayed there, I was staying there for a couple of days, and it was already crowded because there wasn't really enough room. It was just a lot of junk in the room that I was staying in, which was my old room at that house. And when I woke up one day, my great aunt came in the room, asking me was I okay. I guess she was kind of trying to pray for me. Like, how religious people, they be like, oh, well, I'm gonna pray for you, baby, and things like that. And she kind of was asking me, was I okay? Now before that, she was kind of like trying to like rub on my stomach, like up here, to see was I okay, because I was just like, when I was laying down, I just would have my hands like this on top of my body. And she kind of wanted to know, was I, feeling okay? And because I was nonverbal, I was still not talking. And it had been over a year that I had been nonverbal with these family members. So I think that they kind of got desperate and were doing things to kind of make me to to get a reaction. But the reason that I didn't react also was because, like I said, when the cop lifted up the chair and I hit the back of my head, that was already kind of traumatic for me because I felt powerless, because I felt like if I resort back to my old ways and I fuck this man up, then I have resulted to going back to lower vibrations that no longer serve me. Because I used to be that person that if something like that would have happened, I would have probably been active with him. But at the same time, I've always somewhat not resorted to violence because I understand that there's reflection within the experience. But I've always questioned, are we supposed to be active in that way? Like, and I seen a video that's like, get your lick back, get your lick back. But if I act that way, is that in true honor of my morals and my values? Anyway, she was kind of like rubbing near my liver, right? And I was just like, is this bitch trying to cast a spell? Like, what the fuck going on? And I don't mean to call her a bitch to be like, unkind, but I'm just thinking like, why is she rubbing on me like that? And I'm kind of like, move. What are you doing? Like, I'm okay. But anyway, when she did that, then she like moved my hand because it was early in the morning, so I kind of had my hands over my thinking lane. So I was just like, when you wake up and you wake up with that morning wood. And so she moved my hands, and I guess, I don't know if she thought that my hands were on top of my stomach, and it was early in the morning. I know that she had just waken up from her rest, right? And sometimes spirits can inhabit bodies. So I do want to say that. Anyway, when she came in the room, she removed my hands and she kind of like put her hands on top of my private area.
What did he say?
And I'm like, what the fuck? Like, I'm kind of like, just, I had no words for what was being experienced. Anyway, I heard clairaudiently to yell. So that's what I did. I yelled, like, right in her face. And she heard and went to the bathroom, and she kind of like exited really fast. But when she had her hands over the top of my, it was kind of like she was praying. So I was just like, is she possessed? And you know how how most black people react to a person being possessed is they want to fight. Like the fear reaction is sometimes to be physical, to fight. But I'm still thinking like, this is my great aunt. Why would she do something like that? Anyway, continuing on. Actually, before I move on, there's something else that should be said. When I first had awakened up, like my physical body awakened up, before she even had came in the room, there was this auditory message to turn over. And so I'm thinking, I'm not sure if that's something that somebody else is going to do, or was it actually like a sign for me to turn over? Well, I think that was when she came in the room. I had got a message that said like, turn over, like to avoid that situation happening. But I ignored that sign because I wouldn't say I ignored it, but I was unsure if it was actually a sign for me to take action, or if it was a sign that someone was going to be like physically turning around like they were going to do it. So I was confused whether the sign was for me or for someone else. Anyway, after that happened, and now I'm just like, I gotta get the fuck away from this woman. I gotta go. But I do want to say, before it had happened, no, I think, yeah, okay, I think I stayed like another day. And this is where I was kind of like, if, like, F this, I gotta go. But after that, she, was talking to my mom. And like prior to that, she asked that I want to take a shower at her house, and I had already like went into the bathroom, and I had left the door open because the shower was already running, and she had came in the shower, and I guess she was trying to help me. You know that older people are kind of like, and I don't want you to think that I'm trying to take up for her in any way, but this, I'm just explaining it to you, right? So that you have like a full explanation or understanding of it. When I was in this, when I got in the shower, she came in the bathroom not knowing that I was in the shower already, even though the shower was on. And because she was yelling in the bathroom like, Kevin, the shower's on. I got the shower on. And so I was already in the shower, and I'm looking at her like, girl, what are you doing in the bathroom? But again, I had been nonverbal, so she saw that I was in the shower. She was just like, oh, you in the shower? And she was kind of like, take your drawers off, like, because actually I was in the shower and I hadn't turned on the water yet. So when she seen that I was in the shower, yeah, she said, well, Kevin, go ahead and take a shower. So I was already in the shower. I just hadn't turned the water on. When she walked in, I didn't turn the water on. I'm just like, does she not know I'm in here? Of course she didn't know I was in there. Anyway, when she saw that I was in there, she was just like, what you doing in the shower? You going to shower? And then she turned on the water, and I still had my clothes on. And so I'm just like, why didn't you just leave? I have this. I'm going to shower. Like, I just need you to leave. I needed people to just leave so I could do what I needed to do. But anyway, I started to, she was like, well, take your drawers off and stuff. Because I do have to say this. While I was in jail, in order for them to kind of like give us showers and give us a toothbrush and things like that, we had to sign the paper. So for 4 months in jail, I hadn't brushed my teeth. And there was like, I can count on one hand how many times I showered within the 4 months. And that's sad. That's sad, and that's probably like, y'all probably like, that's also disgusting. But at the same time, I think that it was a pride thing. It was a pride thing, knowing that I didn't identify with being suicidal. I kind of were blaming the people for not understanding me, but at the same time, there was a need for me to, I just didn't want to submit to being labeled something that I didn't identify with. But anyway, she was trying to like. She was trying to help me wash, and you can just imagine like how much dirt had been on me because I hadn't really washed, because I was in the shower for so long that the water started to turn cold, and I was kind of wanting her to get out of the bathroom, but I just vocally and mentally had been, well, I was mentally drained. I wouldn't say that I was vocally drained. I was just mentally drained from having to explain myself and to have it feel as if people weren't hearing what I needed them to hear. Anyway, we're loud enough now. I'm pretty sure people hear now. She kind of was like helping me wash my legs, and she was just like, look at how dirty it is. Look at how dirty the water is. I'm like, girl, the water is cold. It's coming out the sink hot because the sink is, Anyway, after that, my mom came probably like a day or 2 days later, and she was still upset that I had taken her car, and she made it known, and I felt some things within my body, like I felt some heart palpitations, And what that was an indication of is that she was hurt by the things that I had done. And I noticed that in her demeanor, although it was anger, there was hurt for me taking her vehicle, and her having to find a way to work, and her not having her glasses, because the glasses that she uses to see were still in the vehicle. But I just didn't know where to put them because I didn't have like a key to the actual house, because again, she was at her boyfriend's house at that time. So anyway, when she came there and she was yelling, she was just like, she was saying some really hurtful things. And so that you understand, this is what I'll say it for the purpose of this video, because this is educational. It isn't to be unkind or malicious to anybody. It is just to tell my truth, right? She was saying things like, men, ain't nothing wrong with you. Me and the other family members was ready to get your motherfucking ass out of here. We was ready to take your ass down there by the sidewalk. We was ready to drag you out down there by the sidewalk. And to hear those type of things from your mother, it can be difficult. But I think that when you are covered spiritually, you have to learn how to discern through. You have to remain in stillness when there are things of adversity. Like when it is that type of anger, you have to learn how to not absorb it and learn how to heal through things like that. And I am a firm believer of forgiveness so that I can be forgiven. I am just a believer of these things, in my morals and values, because what would it help to fight anger with anger? But I also understand how sometimes you got to get out there in the paint. But I think that because there is that thing where hurt people, I have to hear what is going on and, understand what is going on versus being reactive to those things. Because I noticed that she was hurt. Although it was anger, her eyes were watery. It was hurt. It wasn't true anger. It was more true, like, how could you do this to me? And I had to then again be strong enough for myself to understand, although she's saying these things, she doesn't mean these things. And if she did mean these things, that is for her to heal. And, because I am a healer, I have to become aware of how to understand these things, understand the signals that my body is telling me. Oh, heart palpitations, the heart chakra, right? Family is green, family, relationships. She was hurt by those things. So when I started receiving these energetic things, I had to have a sense of compassion. And that's something else that I heard in prison about. It was a book that a prisoner was reading, and it was something about compassion and something about if you are hurt, those people hurt more or something like that. Now, I also have to say this. There was a message from my higher self or an ancestor to laugh. And so I was being very obedient to these things that I was hearing. So that's what I did. I laughed. And I also noticed some other things that were happening. Like my great aunt was kind of telling my mom that, oh yeah, I helped him wash up. Like I washed his legs and stuff like that. And, it was kind of like, it kind of seemed like gaslight, right? So I started noticing things. And I want to say this. Prior to me going to jail, I received a message that said karmic family. So I'm thinking, this is what this experience was, a karmic family. And so in the same sense, I'm thinking, how do you fight a karmic family and not be karmic, right? To not go back into old habits. How do you I wouldn't say fight it. How do you battle that type of experience? And anyway, what I did know was my journey to getting through it was kind of the answer. And because I was experiencing, that was the answer, right? After she left, my great aunt then went to get food that was meat. So that was kind of making me, at this point, I'm kind of like, I want nothing to do with this family. I I want my own money. I want my own vehicle. There were just so many wants to just be done with it. I had already experienced jail for 4 months. Me and my twin flame hadn't, achieved union, so that had me to feel like a failure, and my great aunt touched my penis. So these things brought a sense of, at this point, I'm like, am I manifesting suicidal thoughts at this point? Because I'm thinking, haven't I experienced enough, to have it easy? So, anyway, I was slim enough, right, to get through one of the windows in the house. And the reason that I say small enough is because it was about like, just, it wasn't, the window wasn't even up high enough like to see that a body could get through it, but I was slim enough to get through it. And I had been in the house for a while, and my great aunt thought that I ran away. So when she came in the house, she said, "How did you get in here?" And I just ain't say nothing, because I'm just like, I need some time away from y'all, and especially need some time away from you, because you done touched my penis, and I'm trying so hard not to boo boo. But I still remained in my heaven spirit. I would say that, because I was making decisions and choices to remain aware and not allow the things that have happened to me to make me cold-hearted, to make me unkind, to make me low vibrational. So I continued to stay high vibrational through these things. Now, other people may say, "Nah, you should have fucked that bitch up. You should have did this. You should have did that." But I think that it's different when you are actually experiencing those type of things, right? So I then realized that I had a ticket for when I went to jail in the year of 2020 for sitting on the bench at the in the other town, and the cop pulled up and things like that. And so when that happened, I also want to say that when I was with my friend, my mom was on the phone, and she said, "Tell his ass to go back to the motherfucking bench." And I think that hearing these things were, I could have allowed these things to destroy me hearing them, right? But this is what I want to say. When I came back to this house, I noticed that a lot of these things were being repeated to me clairaudiently. Like the things that had been painful the things that I heard that were painful started to be repeated clairaudiently. And so as a psychic medium, we metaphysically experience things. And it's things like that when we are experiencing, it's kind of like, people can say, "Oh, well, it's just depression," but it's something. How could I tell? Oh, I need to continue on with the story so that it will truly make sense. When it got to my court date for my ticket from 2020, and again, this is 2022, I think, because they like postponed the ticket because I missed the first case. And my aunt was coming in to like say, "Oh, well, it's time to go pay the ticket," but I had already been up like earlier, before like it was time to go, like way before it was time to go. And so because she hadn't came to come in the house, she was like coming in the house late. And so because I was still nonverbal and I think I wasn't putting my clothes on, she like grabbed me, like grabbed my hair at the top of my head, just like, get up, I'm getting tired of you. Just kind of like trying to put bass in her voice to make herself sound assertive. But I was just kind of like, it is what it is. Like, I was thinking that jail would be better than being here experiencing the shit that I had experienced here at that point, right? And so I was just like, when she started pulling my hair up here, I just kind of like I grabbed her because I'm just like, all right, now I had enough of this shit, and bitch, you pulling my hair. So that's what I'm thinking, right? So I like grabbed her, and again, she's in her 70s. I don't want to be like that towards her. I grabbed her like her jacket. I didn't like physically like bitch. Like I didn't do it like that. I just grabbed her jacket. Like, stop pulling my hair. So I told her like, hey, it's too late. It's too late because the ticket was already supposed to be paid. We was already supposed to be there. And so after that, she was saying, I was saying, you're a narcissist. I just said, it just like came out. I was like, you're a narcissist. You're a narcissist. But I didn't say like fucking narcissist. I said, do you know what a narcissist? No, I didn't say that she was a narcissist. I said, do you know what a narcissist is? And when I said that, she was just like, I was just like, when you physically abuse someone or something like that, you can get sued for that. And she was like, sue me. And I'm just like, bitch, I ain't got no money. I can't sue you. But at the same time, anyway, after that, the cops were called, but this time it was to make sure that the ticket was paid. And the ticket was paid by her. And I'm not sure if they lowered it, but I think that's why she wanted me to make an appearance so that it could be lowered. But I'm just like, all of this that I experienced because of you, like I was kind of like saying that she was to blame, because had she not told me that my mom and her said that I could use her car, she was thinking, well, she didn't say I could use her car. She said that she was thinking about giving me her car to use. And I just knew that it was so that I could get a job so that I wouldn't have to depend on them. Right? That's understandable. But at the same time, when God is giving you instructions to be still and, not, if God is not telling you to not get a job, then you have to obey God over other people. So, after that, I kind of got to this place where the water had to be carried in buckets and bottles to fill up the tank in the bathroom, to flush the toilet, because at that time there wasn't any running water, and the water had to be purchased, like, for cooking, just in case there wasn't enough water to actually like cook from the water hose that was. So I have to say this, there wasn't water running in this house, but there was water running in the other house. Like, so I would attach a hose to fill up the bottles and things like that. After my great aunt was trying to do it, she would do it last minute before she would have to go to work. And plus, her being in her 70s, there was this, I was actually waiting for her to turn on the water, and the only reason I was waiting for her to turn on the water and not helping her tote the water down to this house, like, and I say tote it because sometimes she would bring it in buckets, is because she said that she was going to get the water turned on. And so I was just like, well, I'm thinking, well, she's probably get it turned on in a couple weeks. But I think at the same time, she was wanting me to be tired of it being like that and to kind of like force me into getting a job. I was just aware of this. Like, she was kind of like, like holding off to say, are you going to get a job? Because taking care of one house is a lot, but think about taking care of two houses. Technically three, but think about taking care of two houses. So I wasn't trying to force her to do these things, but because she said that she was going to do them, I was just like, okay, well, she'll do it whenever she does it. But anyway, that lasted for like hooking the hoses up and putting in, having bottles and bottles of water in the house. That lasted for about a year and a half, maybe more. And so that was also a reason that I was trying to flee away from the experience so that I could have my own. And as many times as people say, why didn't you go get help and things like that? And as much as I was trying to, I guess I wasn't doing it the way that it was as if I don't want to compare it to anything, but I'll just say that when I was seeking help, the help that I was seeking just wasn't appearing, I guess, the way that I wanted it. But what I will say is that, I was exercising very often because I was walking to go get my groceries. Because I really wasn't accepting help from people, even riding in the vehicle. I mean, can you imagine experiencing the things that have been experienced by certain family members or the things that I have spoken about in this video, and then riding with them in a vehicle, but at the same time knowing that you don't have any finances coming in for yourself, in every way that you're trying to create your own abundance is kind of like, I wouldn't say it was failing, but I think that God was wanting me to experience certain things to know how to, and I said this earlier, there has to be experience behind giving tarot readings and meeting people that may have what they call it, a pain body. When a person has a pain body is considered like just like a very emotional person that hasn't healed through their traumas or things of the past. And when you have to be present through those things, and when you have to be able to guide them, through those things, it's best that you have some type of experience through things like that, right? Because I don't know who I will meet. Maybe even doing my videos, there may be a person that says, wow, I didn't know that you had went through those things, and how do you present as if you haven't been through those things? And can you help me through my experience? Can you guide me through my experience? So I think that a lot of chosen beings would identify as, or they could agree to many chosen beings experiencing the darkness so that they can be the light within the experience. I'll say that. But also I created this YouTube channel, and I don't think that I was in a place of being able to be open with it in the beginning. I didn't think that I could be open with it, but I'm being open with it now because it is important. It's important because somebody may have experienced it and they may feel alone. And by being open, another person may feel that they can be open with it. Also, I had deleted all forms of social media in the year of 2020. I was just trying to cut ties with all of my past and start fresh. But I think that a lot of people, they have successful channels because they have all of the people from their past subscribing. And this new channel, I kind of thought, well, I'll start from the bottom out here, start from the bottom out a whole here. It was like that. But anyway, I want to say that because of the things that I was experiencing, it was as if I escaped and battled being labeled suicidal to only be placed in thoughts that kind of made me want to be unalived. And I was like, I'm not even sure if there are words for that, because that is a lot within itself. But I will say that, I will say that I believe in forgiveness so that I can be forgiven. And it has been difficult when sometimes I have metaphysical feelings towards certain beings. Like when my great aunt comes around, there may be this metaphysical feeling down there, and I've spoken about it in many videos. And sometimes it's difficult to remain kind when it's kind of like, it's like, bitch, you got me to feeling this. It's kind of like you want to be angered by it, and it's also good to allow yourself that anger. You have to allow yourself that anger. And we spoke about it, and I told her, like, hey, like, do you remember doing this? And I was just like, that's why I didn't want to be around you. We had a talk about it. And at the same time, I still have the feeling of when spirit, spirit's just like, they sometimes, the ancestors say things. And I used to get messages that would say, leave, you need to go, you need to leave, you need to go. And when I've tried to leave and I've tried to go, when I slept outside, I said that in one of the videos, I slept outside by a tree. And when I did that, I was just like, I'm gonna just be, what do you call it? Homeless. And I was like, well, how am I gonna get money? But that didn't last long, because in my hometown, so many people knew me. So it's just like, they were like, what are you doing out here? And most people, like, they're way like, hey, how you doing? But because I was non-verbal, and because the pandemic was still going on, it was still the end of 2021 and the beginning of 2022. So there were still, like, certain variants that were around, right? So I decided to come back to the house, and now I'm building up my YouTube channel, and I'm so very grateful to all of you that are subscribing. And if you want to help, share these videos on your channel. I mean, on your social media, because in the past I deleted mine, so I'm building up from the ground up. So the beings that are subscribing, it means a lot, because it's kind of like starting from scratch, like a blank canvas. And the people that are subscribing, they're not subscribing because they've known me for so long. You're subscribing because you're either enjoying the content or something I said, or it's like authentic in a way with people subscribing, and I'm enjoying that. It was important that I also told this part of the story where when I got back home, I was told that my great uncle had been falling a lot. Did I say that right? Yeah, my great uncle had been falling a lot. And also my cousin, who I call him my uncle, but my cousin, he had to go to the hospital because of Rona, but it was also it affected his Crohn's disease. So I may not have to my knowledge, it affected his Crohn's disease. So when that happened, I also became aware that I'm sure that it was like my grandmother. she was having some issues with where in the body. You remember when I was saying that my aunt was rubbing around my around a certain part of my body, and I was saying, what is going on? Anyway, the reason that I'm bringing that up is because there were things that I had done, and this is why some people call it a blessing and a curse, is because although God had me to fall in jail and I did these things, and oh, I had a cousin that was sent to a mental hospital, and he had stopped talking. Now, when I fell in jail because God had told me to do this, when I got back home, my great aunt was telling me that my great uncle had been falling a lot, and he had a seizure, I think it was. And I was hearing something. You remember when I was saying something about the heart palpitations? Well, he had a what do they call it? Like a heart monitor thing put into his, like a reviver type of thing. Anyway, I noticed that these signs that I was receiving was in connection to the events that hadn't happened yet. And so this also helped me to gain a sense of calmness around the events that had taken place. So yeah. Not only that, but my cousin, my cousin in New Jersey who lost her brother to a heart attack, she had a stroke. And so there were so many things within the experience. Like when I fell in jail because the Spirit told me to fall, and I had a clairvoyant vision of someone having a seizure. So it was like I was doing these things, and then when the family members were going through these things, it was a reminder that I was giving them signs that this is what was going to happen. Yeah, hopefully that makes sense. What I can say is that I'm very grateful that now the water is on in the house. The heating and air works very great. I have to go to the grocery store and probably get more food, but there's a way to get food. Um, you know, we've healed these dynamics within the family. I have a way to use the vehicle. I'm being supported more, but it took some work. Not all work is like physical. And I know that I said something about like something around work, and it was that perfectionism is when people have had to work to be loved, is the quote that I saw. And I think that some people think that work is just like the physical labor of somebody working, but sometimes it is the inner work that you're doing. You're ascending to a higher vibration. And if you're seeing this and you're thinking, oh hell no, you need to be away from them family members, fuck them family members, da 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 da. I think that I have in the past been open with this experience, and I wouldn't say that there has been lack of help, but I did the things like post my Cash App, and I think that right now it's like those things have been experienced. They're old now, and I'm in a energy of allowing the now moment to be what it is. I will say that. So if you want to support, Get the subscribers up. I think that that brings me so much joy. You can send loving and healing energy, and I oftentimes think about collabing with other YouTubers, but I think right now that I'm just grateful to be in my experience, and I'm enjoying life. I'm loving life. So no more wanting to no more wanting to unalive oneself, but enjoying life. There are hopefully no more energies of wanting to commit, the. But I had that thought about how this video is sponsored by BetterHelp. I had that idea. We can manifest the sponsors and things like that. But I'm just very grateful, and to all of my subscribers, much love to you, and continue interacting with the channel because it helps the channel. And just as much as I am receiving abundance, I hope to be able to also give back in some way abundantly. But I think that also my videos are very abundant because they have stories that are gifting in some way spiritually. And yeah, if you enjoyed this video, like it, comment, subscribe. And also, if I said something that isn't 100% true, it was 100% true to me while I was recording it. So again, forgiveness. What is that chant? Ho'oponopono. It's like a forgiveness chant or something like that. Anyway, interact with the video if you enjoyed this part 3, part 2, and part 1, or part 1, part 2, and part 3, however you want to say it. If you enjoyed it, like it, comment, subscribe, and all of those good things. And I heard Auntie Tabitha Brown, I heard her saying, "Now if your day is going good, if your day ain't going good, don't you dare go messing up nobody else's," or whatever her saying. But anyway, my saying is, interact, like it, comment, share it, and all of those great things. And until we speak again, toodaloo, I love you. Giving me the sign, so I gotta take a hint now. I hit you up like, do you wanna hang right now? On the east side, ain't no one with the gang right now. You say, do I wanna watch? Do I know what time it is right now?